Hi, I want you to meet me. I am Jean Elkon. I have lived in Omaha going on 93 years. My parents were Sylvia Bernstein, who also was at the Blumkin home, and my father was Harry Z. Bernstein. We were in the furniture business for many, many years. I taught at UNO, and I loved every minute of it. I was there about 17 years. Before that, I did subbing in Omaha Public Schools. I wanted to see what grade I wanted to teach. It wasn't in the public schools. I loved the university. I started there just one class. Then they asked me to do 2 classes. And before I knew it, I was there permanently. I was there at a time that they were hiring, and that was an unusual time. So I spent 17 years in the speech department. I did all the communication courses. I taught the nurses from the hospitals how to communicate with patients. I taught young people how to get jobs. I did the interview with them. And there was a time I even went with some of the students to get their clothes for the interview because they did not know what to wear. And I went with the male students and the female students. And it was a lot of fun. After that, I was going to go on, and then I went to gerontology. You can only stay at the university so long, and you've got to keep moving. So I thought, you know what? I'm facing old age. Let me study that. So I studied gerontology, which I found very interesting, except I tried to use it on my mother. It did not work. I used it on my father a little bit better, but neither of them like that. And all they kept saying to me, don't interview us. So I stopped. I found that gerontology helped me. And today, where I'm at the Blumkin home, believe me, it was a great success to me. I found myself here. I did not want to come here at first. And now I find that the help I'm getting here is perfect. It's everything I studied, and they're using it. And that is good. I am going to be 93, which I think is a good old age. I outlived my mother. I outlived my father. I outlived my husband. I outlived everybody. And I'm here. And I think this is a good place to be. I could not be home. I did not want to bring a person in to live with me. I tried it, didn't work. And here I'm getting the care, which is great. I'm feeling pretty good, and I know they're going to get me up to walk. That's my goal, is to walk, and they're going to do it. During my lifetime, I started at Lake School, which is no longer here, and it was about 20-something in Lake Street at different times. From there, I went to where everybody went, at that time, Central High School. I enjoyed every minute at Central. It was a great school, and I found that most of the Jewish students at that time were at Central High School. From Central High School, I graduated, and I went to the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. And I sometimes thought about going into drama. When I went to Lincoln, I was in drama. I did many plays there in the Johnny Carson Theater. And even Johnny Carson came there to watch us one time, which was very exciting. I decided the theater would be my forte, and I was going to try that. But that's a little difficult, because if you teach theater, you're there almost every night doing plays. This was during the wartime. During that time, it was different. It was a different college experience. Most of the young men were gone to war. There were soldiers stationed at Lincoln, at the air base. And guess where I met my husband? He was stationed in Lincoln. I was in SDT, which was a Jewish sorority in Lincoln, and he had come from the University of Wisconsin. He lived in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, where there were 6 Jewish families. He went to Madison and enlisted in the Air Force. He was stationed in Lincoln, and that's where I met him. That's where most of my sorority sisters met young men and ended up marrying them. And it was the same with me. My husband, being from a small town, decided he wanted to live in Omaha, where he could raise his children Jewish. He was not raised that way. There were 6 Jewish families. It was a little unusual. And when they went to services, they had to go to another smaller town where there was a synagogue, one, in northern Wisconsin. And that's where they went for the holidays. He didn't want that for his family. He wanted a Jewish education. He wanted to raise his children Jewish. So we stayed, we moved back to Omaha, stayed there, and I raised 2 daughters, Marcia and Beth. Marcia's now living in New York, and I've up to now visited her every couple months. I have 6 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren. So I figured they're New Yorkers, all of them, so I gotta go east, and I did. They at one time wanted me to move to New York, and I said, no, Omaha is my home. My friends are here, I'm staying here. New York is fun, and I went every 4 months, so my great-grandchildren and all of them wouldn't forget me. When we moved to Omaha, my husband went in business with my father. Some days it was good, and some days it wasn't. You know, when you work for a parent, it's not easy. But they got along great. We had the Bernstein Furniture Company. And my husband was an auctioneer and did auction for the company every Monday and every Thursday night. It was interesting to go and listen to him. He picked us up by listening to other auctioneers. I stayed with the university for, as I say, 17 years. Would have stayed longer, but my husband got ill. I decided he needed me more than they did. He had leukemia, which is not a good thing to have. There is no cure. So for 2 years, they said he had 2 years to live. For 2 years, we did everything. We went to Europe. We did everything we wanted to do because we knew there was a time limit. And he exactly 2 years, almost to what they said, he passed away. After that, I decided, you know, I'm going to keep my house and I'm going to do what I want to do and live my life by myself. And I did. My husband, Wally, was a very outgoing person. He loved people. He loved doing things. I'm the same way. We decided there should be something for the elderly, that's what they call us, to do. Places to go with people, their peers. So we became part of a club called Visions. Wally became president. I became his assistant. And we planned trips. We went to the Ozarks. We went different places. We went to shows. We went to dinners. And this started small with people our age group, and it grew to be pretty big. People loved being together. They couldn't do it by themselves. But get a group together. We're going to the show. We're going to the Orpheum and see a play. We're going to go to a restaurant you've probably never been to. We're going to do all these things. We're going to have a picnic. You would be amazed the people that came, and everyone enjoyed it. Visions was a great group. It was for the seniors, let's say. Anyone could join that wanted to. And we had a really big group of people. Our dinners were great. We had them out where you would have picnics, but inside picnics. We had shows. We'd go to all different things. We started going to trips, but as you become older, that becomes a little difficult. But we did go to the Ozarks, and they loved it. Visions became bigger than we ever thought it would be, because the elderly have nothing to do sometimes. And it takes someone to get it started. My husband was a very outgoing person, and he was gung-ho on this, and it really took off great. I don't know now if they continued or not. I haven't kept touch. They should have. I don't know if they have. But seniors are by themselves. They're in their houses by themselves, a lot of them. If you don't have somebody to go with, you don't go. So when we Visions started, and they heard these are seniors going, their age group, good, we'll go. And they came. We had all kinds of things going on. I hope this is still going on. I don't know today if it is or not. But it was a great thing at the time, and it really took off great. Wally and I love to travel. And we thought, while we're in good health, let's do it. So we went to Europe. We went to Israel. And I must tell you about our trip to Israel. That was a goal in our life. We wanted to go to Israel. So we decided, let's do it. It was a long flight, that I remember. And we got there. We stayed at the King David Hotel. Came down to breakfast in the morning, and I never saw such a breakfast in my life. Cucumbers, olives, pickles. I thought, for breakfast? They had bagel lox, and I thought, that is really neat. You walk the streets, the two of us, and look at the signs. We couldn't read them, most of us. They were in Hebrew. And we felt, these are our people. It was wonderful. I wanted to go back, but we never got to. And I'm telling you, if there's something you want to do it. Because then Wally got sick and we never got back to Israel. But that was a wonderful, fascinating trip. I felt I'm with my people. I heard all the Jewish language. A lot of it I could understand because my grandma lived with us and spoke Hebrew. And so I could understand a lot of it from her. But to be in a country where everybody spoke it, I thought it was really neat. I wanted to go back. Well, it's too late for me. I hope my kids get there. We've traveled Europe, and then I got to one country that I really was uneasy with, and that was Germany. I thought, I'm going to go to one of the camps. And then I thought, do I want to do this? I've read a lot of books about the Holocaust. I was very interested in it. Unfortunately, our bus driver didn't stop at any of the camps. So I took it upon myself to ask him, why not? My husband said, don't start anything. I said, I'm going to, and I did. I said to him, why aren't we stopping at one of the camps? I want to see him. I want to see one. I've read about him. I've studied the Holocaust. I'm here. I don't know if I'll ever get back. He said, well, we don't stop at the camps. And I said, why not? He said, we just don't. And I said, well, let's change that policy. He said, we just don't do it, and I'm not stopping. I said, well, I'm going to find out why. And I did. They were told, for some reason, not to stop at any of the camps, to go by them. Went by all of them, but never got to go in them. I thought, I'm going to get back to Israel. I have family there. We have family on the northern border, because I sat there with their guns next to me. They were sitting with their Uzis. At the time I went, there was fighting on the northern border, the borders up there. And every young man was carrying a gun. At that time, I was offered a job there when they found out I was a teacher. On coming back and teaching the English language. And Wally was like a farmer. He had big gardens at our house. He grew all kinds of, not flowers, but vegetables. So our relatives there, he had cousins and several cousins that lived there in a kibbutz. And we spent 3 days with them. I would find it very difficult to live in a kibbutz. They were born in the United States. When Israel became a state, that's when they came over. They helped Israel become a state. He gives speeches, the cousin, all over. And people from Omaha, Nebraska, when they heard the name Elkon, his name was Elkon, and with friends of ours that traveled there with the different organizations, asked him, were you related to Wally Elkon? And they said, yes, we're first cousins. So a lot of people from here met my cousins in Israel. I loved Israel. When I was there, I thought, can I live here? No, I don't want to live here. Would I like a job here, maybe for 6 months teaching? I seriously thought about it. I could have gotten one teaching the English language. But then I thought, at the time I was there was shooting and there was guns, and I was a wreck. My husband, no, he wasn't. And I thought, no, I can't live like this. It to me was scary. Would I do it today if I could? Yes. My whole attitude changed. But now I'm not in the shape to do it. We loved Europe. We've traveled every country that we could. The only country I felt uneasy in was Germany. I shouldn't have felt that way, but I had an older brother who was killed in World War II. Where was he killed? I decided to go there. In Italy. He was a ski trooper in the mountains of Italy. I wrote a letter to the cemetery he's buried in Italy and told him I was coming. I would like to visit the cemetery and I would like to go where he was killed, which may sound funny to you, but this was important to me. So I wrote the letter and sent it to Italy. I got an answer back saying they would be very pleased for me to come. He was buried in the United States Cemetery in northern Italy, right close to where he was killed. So Wally and I did take off. We went to Italy. They welcomed us. They were very kind. We brought a stone to put on the grave, which is a Jewish tradition, and flowers. They took us to his grave, and then they showed us where he was killed, right above where his grave is in the mountains, which they were very pleasant and very nice, and it was quite an experience. And then my parents, before me, went. My mother and my father and my brother and sister-in-law went with them. They wanted to see where their son was killed, and they did. It was a very, very tough experience for them, but they did it. I have to tell you that I have a brother, Jerry Bernstein, who moved after 50 years in Omaha to California. You wanted nice weather, no ice, no snow, and he got it. Although he did get earthquakes and rain, but they love it there. And I visited them there, and I can see where they would. They live right on the ocean. It's beautiful. I told you that I had 2 daughters, Marcia and Beth. Both went to Central, both graduated Central. Marcia went to Lincoln to college. Beth went to Arizona and then to Texas. But they grew up in a very interesting neighborhood. It was on about 63rd and Glenwood Road, and the neighborhood was called Bagel. Why was it called Bagel? It was all Jewish. All the neighbors, all the people, I'll tell you, the majority were Jewish. The kids would all get together in the evening outside at different times, all Jewish. It was very interesting. They either belonged to Temple or they belonged to Bethel, some of them Beth Israel. But they all got together and they had something in common, and they were all Jewish kids, and most of them went to Central. Most of them graduated Central, and they still communicate together. They just had a big reunion and came from all over the country. Central somehow keeps the kids together, and they were very smart class. Most of them graduated with the highest honors. It was different times. These kids played outside. You drive down the neighborhoods now and you don't see them outside. These kids felt very safe being in their neighborhood, being outside, being on the streets playing ball. It was different times than it is now. All of the kids, just about every one of them, went away to college. A lot of them married people they met in college, and they still come back for all their reunions, which I think is a really neat thing. I think the day is a different time. My grandchildren do not play outside. My great grandchildren in New York do not play outside. They are busy with their schools, they're dancing, they take fencing, they take all these things. It's a different time. Most of them you don't see out. I come visit and I go to all the things they take, and they don't have any spare time. My kids had fun time. They went to Hebrew school, and they went to regular school, and they were busy. They took dancing and all this. Today it's different. I think the kids I don't see them out in the street. I don't see them playing outside. They're in the house or they're gone to the things that they do. I want to say a little message to my girls, to Marcia and to Beth. They have been so wonderful to me. You know, everybody says daughters are marvelous. I'm going to say some daughters are marvelous, not all of them. I've got two that are. They've got both wonderful husbands, and the husbands became sons to me, not son-in-laws, sons. Unfortunately, two of them are in New York, but they manage to come in every couple months, be sure I'm okay, and we talk on the phone every day, morning and night. My daughter here comes to see me here almost every day. I tell her that is not necessary, but they do it. And my son-in-law, both of them are wonderful. They've taken over everything. They said, don't worry, we'll take over the house, we'll take care of everything. Don't worry, we don't want you to have any worries anymore. And I don't. They have done everything, the kids, for me. I'm very fortunate that I have wonderful kids. And all I can say to them that I hope their kids are like they are to them. Because this stage of my life, most of my friends, unfortunately, I'm not going to name them, are gone. I don't have many of them left. I'm very lucky to have my children. They have been wonderful. They're here almost every day, and I tell them that is not necessary. I look around, there are not many whose kids are here every day. The New York kids try to get in every 3 months, and that's wonderful. In fact, they're coming April 2nd, and Marcia's going to do my closet for me, which is a mess. It is important to have good kids. I feel that I'm so lucky to have good kids. In this day and age, you're raising them and you hope they are. But I'm fortunate that I've got good kids, wonderful little grandchildren. I don't know how they'll turn out. Right now, they're wonderful to me. I love them all, and I hope their experiences are like mine. I had a happy life, a good life, and I'm continuing with a different kind of life now. But I'm going to continue with it.